Hello and welcome to CTV News across Canada for Friday, February 13th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
Grief and deep pain as mourners pay their respects in Tumbler Ridge, a growing memorial honoring the victims of one of the country's worst mass shootings. But in this community, there are also haunting recollections of what happened, including from a 13-year-old student who was inside the school when the killings began.
I thought it was like someone dropping something, and then I heard like it again, and then I knew it was like a gunshot.
This teacher recalls the moment a student told him shots had rang out.
By now we knew there was a real situation, and my goal at the time was, I have these 15 kids to get out of here. I want these 15 kids to be safe.
He says students helped barricade the doors with heavy tables.
The whole idea was, if somebody was trying to break in, we would buy us some time.
But other children in the school, place that's supposed to be safe, could not be protected from the shooter. Jarvis Naronia had just taught some of the victims the hour before the incident.
That's the hardest part to see. That's the little kids are gone.
Police say the shooter was 18-year-old Jesse Van Roostelaar, who was born a biological male and identified as a female. RCMP say they had attended her home on multiple occasions because of her mental health issues.
Seeing that we had a mass murder happen in Vancouver just under 10 months ago, and to see now a mass murder take place in a small rural community shows that the gap in services is so vast in this province. The lack of care is so vast in this province.
Meanwhile, mental health resources are being deployed to Tumbler Ridge.
All the other regional health authorities across the province are deploying staff to support us as well, so that we can have the mental health clinicians, psychiatric nursing support, and available here.
Because what's happened here has traumatized an entire community. Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Vancouver.
Mass killings are defined as the killing of 3 or more victims in a short period of time. Data from Statistics Canada shows since the year 2000, there have been 80 mass shootings in this country, the most recent one in British Columbia.
Our hearts and prayers go out to the Tumbler Ridge community, the victims, their families, the entire community. When something like that happens, it resonates deeply in the education sector. And, it just reminds us of our sacred duty, the protection and well-being of every student and every staff member entrusted to our care.
Both the Windsor-Essex Catholic District School Board and the Greater Essex County District School Board say the province has a strict emergency response plan.
Our schools use a tiered response system. So we have a code for a lockdown, which is if there is an internal threat. We have a code for hold and secure. And that means if there's an external event outside of the school and we don't want anything to filter into the school, and we lock the exterior doors to the school. And then finally, we have a shelter in place where students remain in their class if there's something like an environmental hazard, a spill, something like that.
Security begins the moment students are dropped off.
When we talk about safe arrivals, our staff track their attendance. They ensure that every student arrives safely to school. And in addition to that, we also have what I'll call visitor and access control measures in place, so that all of our exterior doors are locked during the instructional hours, that any visitors to the schools will use an intercom or a combination intercom video system, be granted access to the building by our staff. All visitors must report to the main office.
Officials say these are only a few of a host of security and safety measures that are reviewed year-round.
We know that parents and caregivers honor us with sending their children to us each and every day, and it's our goal to support them throughout the day and bring them home safely.
Since its creation in 2023, sexual violence is the most common issue raised with the Ombudsman. Its office found schools often mishandle cases.
We certainly saw a number of situations where events were dismissed a little bit.
Out of 1,077 complaints filed with the Quebec's National Student Ombudsman last year, 133 were related to sexual violence. That's 12% of all cases, says Maya Aziz, student ombudsman for the Montreal region.
The vast majority of those complaints were regarding situations, concerns about how a school managed a situation between students.
By law, schools are obligated to report cases of sexual violence to the province's youth protection system. Aziz says that too does not always happen. Some cases are reported late, others don't get reported at all, and many schools are not fully prepared to deal with such serious matters. Catherine Korakakis with the English Parents Committee Association of Quebec says the findings are concerning.
Families expect schools to be a safe place, not places where disclosures are minimized or mishandled.
She's calling for more resources, including better staff training and stronger coordination with outside services. Similar calls are echoed in Quebec City by opposition parties.
We need to put in place the resources, the people, and make sure that if there's any complaint, if there's any signal, we must act very quickly.
Quebec Solidaire says the CAQ isn't doing enough.
They refuse to act and to prevent the sexual violence in our schools.
And the PQ says the education minister needs to make this her first priority.
We need to make sure that everybody feels safe.
The report tabled more than 1,200 recommendations, including providing better support to the victims. And nearly all of them have been accepted by the schools. Education Minister Sonia Labelle says her government is prepared to provide support and training if needed to ensure those recommendations are carried out properly. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
Vorlage Ski Hill remains closed after a disturbing chairlift incident left a 13-year-old girl with serious injuries.
Lots of people, lots of kids on site, and it was very difficult. I've been doing this for 29 years, and I have to say, it's one of the most horrific scenes that we had to do.
Police say on Wednesday afternoon, shortly after 2 p.m., the young teen from Ottawa, there on a school trip, was about to get off the chairlift at the top of the mountain, but a piece of clothing got caught in the chair. She was alone on the chairlift, hanging above the mountain. Witnesses were quick to help, but she was up too high.
And at one point, it was decided, unfortunately, to send her back down the hill, hanging from the chair. Let's just say that the first officer that arrived on scene, it was very difficult. They managed to gather people and do CPR, and there was 2 doctors skiing that came and helped.
The girl was rushed to Wakefield Hospital less than a kilometer away, then transported to Chio, where she remains in critical condition.
I just started hearing the police cars and fire trucks.
In 12 years living beside the ski hill, Cecil Damour says he's never seen anything this serious.
It was severe and it's unfortunate. You go out for a nice day to enjoy the hill and this happens.
In a statement on social media, Centre Vorlage says it is cooperating with police and are deeply saddened by the event, and that sincere thoughts are with the family. No word on when Vorlage will reopen as police, along with Quebec's chairlift inspectors, investigate.
We're just trying to figure it out exactly what happened, if it was equipment failure or, decision making. So we're looking at all the aspects, but it's going to take a few days.
When this GO train derailed near Union Station 10 days ago, it created commuter chaos for customers, crowded platforms, canceled or delayed trains, and minimal communication. The CEO of Metrolinx acknowledged today the agency did not meet the standard in terms of communicating the problem to riders.
We set the highest standards for ourselves of trying to tell people what's happening from an operational perspective so that they can depend upon us. And we did not rise to that standard on the 2nd and 3rd of February.
Metrolinx says it will offer refunds for those who tap Presto for trips on February 2nd and 3rd, and for customers who took deeply disrupted trips along the lakeshore lines during the evening rush hour on February the 4th. The refunds will be issued automatically over the next 5 to 10 days. Go Riders tell CTV News what they want is better and more reliable service.
When you're getting delayed by 40 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, and you're just stuck there waiting, there just needs to be a better emergency plan.
It does the job. I feel like the service could be quicker, more frequent.
I was looking online and they were communicating everything, all the delays quite effectively and quickly.
As to what happened that day, Metrolink says a rail fastening failed, causing the derailment.
There were 9 ties on one of the rail that, under repetitive stress and fatigue, had allowed the rail to move 1 1/8 inch out of alignment. That's how precise rail has to be, right? That caused the rail to roll, which caused wheels on the locomotive as well as the following coach to come off the rail.
Full GO service was not restored until February the 7th. And we also learned today that the refunds for this issue with the GO trains has already started to be issued to at least a number of customers we talked to today, so it is happening. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
19-year-old Caitlin Dunn found herself in the emergency department at the Selkirk Regional Health Center earlier this month.
I tripped and I fell on my bath mat half asleep, slamming my wrist right here on the shower.
That happened shortly before midnight, and with local clinics closed and her arms swelling, Dunn says she had no choice but to head to the ER, where she ended up waiting 14 hours.
It was just constant pain.
After getting an x-ray, Dunn says a doctor finally saw her.
He told me that my wrist is fine, there's nothing wrong with it.
She was told to go home and ice it, so that's what she did. But the pain didn't go away. In fact, it got worse.
I couldn't put pressure, I couldn't put the ice bag on it because it was too painful.
So the next day, she went to a medical clinic in Winnipeg, where she got a very different diagnosis. Her arm was broken in 2 places.
I was just kind of mad about the hospital making me wait 14 hours to tell me it's not broken. And then basically could have messed up my wrist severely.
The Interlake Eastern Regional Health Authority says while it can't comment on specifics of any individual's care, its patient relations team is aware of this matter and is following up on it directly, adding in part, in all cases, patients receive care from highly skilled healthcare professionals who make decisions based on the information available at the time, including clinical assessment and diagnostic imaging. But for Dunn, she says this whole experience has shaken her confidence in the healthcare system.
I don't think I would go back to the emergency room unless it's a severe emergency.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Selkirk.
Thank you. What was supposed to be a routine arrival turned into an unusual sight on the airfield. A plane stuck in the snow at the end of a runway.
Our 24/7 emergency response team attended to the aircraft. It was determined that the aircraft couldn't make its way back to the terminal on its own.
As of late this afternoon, the plane was still sitting on the runway.
We arranged for buses to deplane the passengers and bus those passengers back to the terminal building. Following this aircraft incident, we did have to briefly close both runways just to make an assessment, but one of our runways was able to reopen quite quickly.
Porter confirmed in a statement there were no reported injuries and passengers were transported by bus to the terminal in cooperation with the airport authority. There were 59 passengers and 5 crew members on board at the time. The second runway remained closed until Porter tows the aircraft, which it had planned to do by the end of the day. Airport officials say the brief shutdown did not trigger widespread cancellations, but the weather certainly did.
There was a flight cancellation at Frankfurt. They weren't able to find any flights yesterday, so they rebooked me for today morning flight. And again, because of the weather conditions, my morning flight got delayed.
Even today, boards are dotted with delays, all due to weather disruptions across North America.
Annoyed, right? But it's okay. Right? It is what it is, right? The weather and stuff like the Mother Nature, we can't control it, right? So some stuff that we had to accept.
The Transportation Safety Board says it's collecting information and is assessing what happened. Porter is also doing its own investigation into the cause. The airport authority says they have 2 runways, but typically only one is in use at a time. So if one closes, it doesn't necessarily lead to delays or cancellations. Todd?
CTV's Hafsa Arif starting us off at Halifax Stanfield International Airport.
During the strike in October, many teachers and parents raised concerns over the issue of complexity in classrooms, and Minister Nicolaides and I committed to listening and acting on their concerns.
Premier Danielle Smith says today's announcement is a positive step forward for the province's education system. This comes after gathering what the Premier calls the most comprehensive set of class size and complexity data ever collected in Alberta.
Our government is investing $143 million to help our youngest and most vulnerable students in kindergarten to grade 6.
The teams will have 1 teacher and 2 educational assistants each. They'll be deployed to K-6 classrooms the province found are most in need. The provincial data also has a list of complexities impacting Alberta's students, among them learning disabilities, gifted students, and those who are learning English as a second language.
The range and intensity of student needs are all contributing factors to complexity, and many classrooms are experiencing several of these factors at one time.
We all know a single initiative cannot reverse the years of erosion in supports, staffing, and resources caused by the chronic underfunding of this government.
Alberta Teachers Association President Jason Schilling says the data released today confirms what teachers have been saying, that complexities appear in most classrooms in the province. Schilling says today's announcement needs to be followed by broader supports and for higher grades.
Alberta must commit to stable, predictable, and adequate funding that reflects the full scope of the need across the entire education system.
The money for this project comes from last year's budget, now allocated to education. Smith says Albertans can expect more resources announced in the budget later this month.
Our message to teachers and to school administrators is this: we have heard you, we're here for you, and help is on the way.
Teachers I spoke with today say that while the news is encouraging, they need to hear specifics. They question where qualified people can be found quickly that are equipped to deal with the list of complexities noted by the province. The education minister says the money will be made available to school divisions immediately so they can begin the hiring process. Today's announcement also leaves 179 schools flagged as high priority uncovered. Nairman?
All right, thank you. Connor Hogg reporting live for us tonight.
These Canadian health and beauty products face steep tariffs for clients in the United States.
They ordered online, they were willing to pay the price, but then when the product arrived, it's like 3 times what they paid. It's been really, really tough because we've lost our 30% of our American clients.
The founder of Alberta business, Ellie Bianca, is refreshed by a symbolic move from American lawmakers.
A little bit of that comfort. But on the other hand, I just can't trust it.
The majority of the U.S. House of Representatives, including 6 members of Trump's Republican Party, voted against tariffs on Canada.
We're seeing a hearing like that where you had a cabinet-level member actually just show such disdain, not only for the opposing party, but even members of our own party.
The president lashed out on social media, calling Canada among the worst in the world to deal with, urging support for his tariffs. A Canadian energy group in Washington for the vote has been working to convince Americans about the advantages of removing barriers.
Energy is so intertwined within Canada and the United States that people are willing to listen, at least in the ground level for sure, and take messages up to the very top.
Many, including Alberta's premier, applaud the vote to end tariffs, but it doesn't change plans to secure other markets.
This is a good sign. It'll reduce some impacts on both sides, but this isn't pushing activity further, and it's not going to increase activity anytime soon.
While this business explores Asian and African markets, it's also pushing to create more raw materials at home.
We have canola, we have flax that is grown. There's a lot of material here that we don't do the value, the extraction. We just sell it out.
Without the 2/3 majority needed to override Trump's expected veto, the tariff policy won't change. But experts think it's still positive for Canada.
It highlights to the president and to the U.S. administration that Canada has allies.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Calgary.
The president of Alliance Hockey has confirmed that a U15 team with the West London Minor Hockey Association has been disbanded. Larry Moreland says the team was dissolved after reports emerged indicating videos of naked players were taken in dressing room showers. Those reports allege the videos were posted on the social media platform Snapchat. The team plays out of the StarTech Community Center, but there's no word if that is where the alleged incident happened. 2 players were suspended and 3 coaches were handed an indefinite suspension pending a disciplinary hearing. West London Association Association President Tate Williamson posted on Facebook late Thursday afternoon saying they wouldn't comment further because the incident involves minors. The two suspended players will be subject to Hockey Canada's independent third-party process. In a statement, Hockey Canada Chief of Staff Jeremy Knight said the ITP does not investigate or adjudicate complaints, but it ensures that complaints are processed in a confidential, neutral, and procedurally fair manner. It continued, when a complaint has been accepted by the ITP, the Hockey Canada Maltreatment Complaint Management Policy enables the ITP to impose interim sanctions if deemed necessary. London Police also issued a statement saying the London Police Service is aware of a post circulating on social media involving a local boys hockey team. As the post relates to an ongoing investigation, there's no further information appropriate for release at this time. Moreland also noted that Hockey Canada has what is called the Rule of Two policy, which stipulates that two screened adults must monitor the room or be immediately outside a propped open door. Hockey Canada policy also stipulates that no cell phones or cameras are allowed in dressing rooms. Jerry Dewan, CTV News.
Just months ago, Kyle Hamiluk was being sentenced here at Court of King's Bench for secretly watching and recording 23 women through the windows of their homes. Now, Saskatoon police are warning that he's being released from jail on Saturday. Police say they're releasing this photo of him out of caution and concern for his potential to reoffend. They say the 37-year-old has been previously convicted of 70 incidents of voyeurism, indecent acts, and trespassing at night, a criminal history spanning nearly a decade.
So this is a reminder to people to watch for him. And so if that doesn't give him a little paranoia, I would be surprised.
He was convicted of voyeurism in 2017 and 2020, and most recently last fall, after pleading guilty to 23 counts of voyeurism and 2 counts of breaching probation. He was sentenced to 2 years and 10 months, but with time served, had about 7 months in custody at the Saskatoon Provincial Correctional Centre. His sentence was among the longest handed down for voyeurism alone. The Crown prosecutor saying at the time there is little case law involving repeat voyeurism offenders.
The maximum I found was 2 years. A lot of those cases were in conjunction with other offenses, other sexual-related offenses, which bumped those sentences a lot higher.
Hamiluk is expected to reside in Saskatoon. He's described as 5'10" and 155 pounds, with brown hair but balding and green eyes. He has several tattoos of mushrooms and one of railroad tracks. As part of his probation, Hamiluk is banned from owning a phone or any electronic device capable of taking photos or videos. He also has a 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew for the first year. Saskatoon police were not available for an interview, but Chris Lewis says Hamiluk would face consequences if he violates his terms of release.
Police aren't going to be doing full-time surveillance on him, but they're going to be watching him. And if they see him out past a certain hour or in a place he shouldn't be, they're going to arrest him.
Police say if a person is aware of any violations relating to Hamiluk's actions, do not approach and contact them immediately. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
On Four Season Court in Kitchener, they've had about enough of this current season.
Right? It's like the car got stuck just trying to drive down the street. So.
President Brian Apps says he understands their street is not a priority.
Yeah, because when it's busy, I mean, they have to keep traffic flowing, right? And so, like I said, there was about a week there where there was a lot of heavy snowfalls, some up to about a foot of snow. And so I totally would not expect it during that.
But after a few weeks with little snow, he feels his street has been forgotten.
I would expect the city to, once that period is done, that they would send the plows out and do the side streets and the cul-de-sacs.
Apps says a plow did come last night, but not before at least one car got stuck.
And it occurred to me that, man, an ambulance wouldn't be able to get probably down to the end of the street for them, right? So, it became a safety concern for me.
Antonio takes great care of his laneway, but is not impressed with the maintenance of his street.
Say, why everybody paid the taxes? You don't clean, block driveways, and don't clean nothing. I don't know.
The city of Kitchener says it's been a battle this winter keeping up with all the snow.
We've received about 160 centimeters of snow so far. That was at the end of January. And in comparison to last year, at the end of January, we only had about 57 centimeters of snow at that time.
The mountain of snow at the Battler Road snow dump, the result of 2,000 kilometers of streets to clear.
On average, we have about 4 snow events a year. We have already had 8 snow events this year. And in addition to the snow events, we've actually deployed our full plow responses actually 12 times. Today was number 12. So we have been working nonstop.
Due to the current conditions and breakup of the hard-packed snow, the city is once again in a full plow operation.
Until earlier this week, we did have snowpack conditions on our back streets. They were passable. When the temperatures rose, then it started to become a little bit more fluffy, less passable at that time, so we decided to have the full plow, which started at 3 o'clock this morning.
The city is urging patience and say if you have any concerns to reach out.